You'll never forget the day she walked in. The bell above the door jingled like it always did. The lunchtime rush in full swing at D'Angelo's, the charming old Italian restaurant tucked between city towers and honking traffic. But no one noticed her at first. Not the customers hunched over pasta bowls. Not the manager busy flipping through receipts. And definitely not the man sitting in the corner booth, the one everyone tried to avoid. Everyone except her. Mia was her name. New to the city, new to the job, and new to the reputation of the man in the corner. But she smiled anyway, held her notepad with shaky fingers, and introduced herself just like she would to anyone else. "Hi, I'll be your server today. Can I get you started with something to drink?" She didn't know, not yet, but the rest of us did. We'd seen it, time and time again, that man Philip Langston III was as rich as he was cruel. A self-made millionaire with a heart iced over by power and pride. He owned 3 downtown blocks, 6 luxury condos, and at least 2 politicians. He also believed that money gave him the right to treat others however he pleased. We'd watched him break people. Quiet servers who left the job after a single shift. Line cooks who cried in the freezer. Even our last manager, a tough woman named Rosa, left after he berated her in front of the entire room for daring to ask him to lower his voice during a family's birthday dinner. So when Mia approached him with that bright-eyed optimism, we all braced ourselves. He glanced up from his phone without really seeing her. "About time," he muttered. "Do you know who I am, sweetheart?" Mia blinked, then gave a polite smile. "I'm sorry I don't, but I'd be happy to get your order." Someone in the kitchen winced. He laughed, but it wasn't warm. It was the kind of laugh that made you feel small. "You don't know who I am? Good Lord. Get me someone competent." She didn't move. "I'm your server today. I'll do my best." He looked her up and down. "You won't last the week." And just like that, the game began. Philip came in daily. Always the same booth. Always the same sneer. He would change his order last minute and demand it be cut. If it wasn't perfect, he would spill his water and blame the staff. He would yell at the busboys, mock the chefs, and leave pennies as tips. Everyone kept their heads down. They needed the job. But Mia didn't flinch. Every day she greeted him with the same calm smile. She remembered his order even when he changed it. She refilled his water without complaint. When he lashed out, she didn't get angry. She got quieter, more focused. I started to wonder why she stayed. Most people didn't last more than a week. She was on her 3rd dot, and then one Thursday afternoon, everything changed. It started like every other day. Philip came in, barking into his Bluetooth earpiece, throwing his coat across the booth like he owned the place. Mia was already at the table before he could call out. "Your usual today, Mr. Langston," he scoffed. "Surprise me. But make sure it's edible this time." That day, something was different. His voice had an edge sharper than usual. His eyes were a little darker. He looked tired, angry, dangerous. Mia returned with a special she'd asked the kitchen to prepare. Just for him, chicken piccata with lemon butter sauce and fresh linguine. She placed it gently in front of him, said nothing, and waited. One bite. Then he exploded. "This is disgusting." "What is this? Prison food?" He shoved the plate so hard it nearly flew off the table. The room fell silent. Forks hovered midair. The dishwasher stopped clanking. Even the soft jazz from the speakers seemed to hold its breath. Mia stood still. "I asked you to surprise me, not poison me," he barked. "Are you deaf? Or just that stupid?" And then ... She moved, but not to run. She calmly reached down, picked up the plate, and set it back down gently. "I'm sorry it's not to your taste," she said quietly, voice steady, "but I watched the chef make it himself. I know the care he put into it, and I served it to you with respect." He sneered. "Respect? Don't talk to me about respect. Little girl, you earned that." She looked at him then, really looked at him. "I agree," she said. "Respect should be earned, and no one in this restaurant owes you any." A few gasps escaped from nearby tables. "You think because you have money, you can treat people like dirt, but money doesn't make you better, it just makes you louder. And people here, hard-working people, have been swallowing their dignity just to serve you." He laughed again, but this time, it sounded less sure. "Is that so?" "Yes," she said, her voice rising just a notch, "but I won't. I was raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs and still found time to teach me kindness. I've dealt with tough men before, Mr. Langston, men who tried to scare me into silence, but I won't be scared. Not by you." The room was frozen, and for the first time ... he was too. He didn't shout, he didn't throw his drink. He stared at her like she was a puzzle he'd never seen before, and then he stood up, slowly, almost in disbelief. "I'll speak to your manager," he said through clenched teeth. She nodded. "He's right over there. But just so you know, I've already told him what you've done to me. To others." The manager, Tony, a man who'd been quietly terrified of Philip for years, stepped forward then. He didn't hide behind the kitchen door. He didn't avoid eye contact. He stood beside Mia. "She's right," Tony said. "It ends today." Philip looked between them, then scanned the room. Every set of eyes was on him, not afraid. Watching, he stormed out. The bell above the door rang again. Silence lingered. For a beat, then the room erupted. Applause, cheers, even the chef came out. wiping his hands on his apron, tears in his eyes. That was 6 months ago. Philip never came back, but Mia stayed. She's more than just a waitress now. She runs the front of house, she trains new hires, she'll make sure everyone feels safe and valued. She doesn't talk about that day much, but we do, because she reminded all of us that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks in quietly and stands its ground. It doesn't fight fire. With fire it fights cruelty with grace. And that's the story of the girl who stood up to a millionaire and taught us all the true value of dignity. What happened after that day didn't make headlines. There weren't any news crews or articles. But if you'd spent even a single hour in D'Angelo's, you'd know something shifted. The fear was gone. In the weeks that followed, the mood inside the restaurant changed. Staff who once kept their heads down now joked with customers again. The kitchen, once silent except for the clatter of pans and suppressed sighs, filled with laughter. People began applying for jobs again. And those of us who stayed, we stayed for each other. But behind all that, one question lingered quietly. What happened to Philip Langston? For a while, we didn't hear anything. It was almost like he vanished. No more stomping into the dining room like he owned the air. No more impossible demands, no more yelling, no more fear. Until one rainy Thursday, about 2 months after he last came in. I saw him. I was running late for my shift and stopped by the corner cafe for a quick espresso. He was there sitting alone, no assistants, no phone in his hand, just staring out the window, face slack with something that looked like regret. He looked smaller, not physically, but somehow dimmed. I didn't go up to him. He didn't see me, but later, when I told Mia, she just nodded. I figured, she said, people like him, they either double down or they face something they've been avoiding a long time. She said it with no hate in her voice, no victory, just calm. Then she went right back to checking in on table 6. That's the thing about Mia, she never stood up to him for applause. She did it because it was right. But the story didn't stop there. A few weeks after that, we got a letter at the restaurant. It was addressed to Mia, written in a shaky hand. No return address, just initials at the bottom, -P.R.L. It said, I've spent most of my life trying to be someone people fear. Somewhere along the way, I forgot what respect actually looked like. That day you reminded me I hated you for it. Then I hated myself. I've been working on things I should have done a long time ago. I won't ask for forgiveness, but I wanted you to know you changed something in me. Thank you. She read it once, then tucked it into her apron and never mentioned it again, but I saw her eyes afterward. A little glassier, a little softer. That summer, D'Angelo got featured in a local magazine, The Restaurant That Fought Back. They interviewed Tony, the kitchen staff, even a few loyal customers, but the heart of the story was MIA still. When the article came out, she barely glanced at it. This place isn't about me, she said. It's about us. And she meant it. She started holding staff meetings once a week just to check in. Not about numbers or sales. About how people were doing. Were they okay? Did they feel safe? Heard she asked about dreams, too. One of the dishwashers mentioned wanting to become a chef. 3 months later, Mia got him his first line cook shift. Another server had been studying graphic design on the side. Mia helped redesign the restaurants. The entire menu and website, then credited it all to her. She didn't just stand up once. She kept standing, and slowly, quietly, she sparked something far bigger than one moment of defiance. The last time I saw Philip Langston was nearly a year after that infamous day. It was early evening, just before the dinner rush. The light outside was golden, filtering through the window blinds. He came in slowly. No announcement. No suit jacket flung over a booth. Just a man in a button-down holding a small plant. Everyone tensed, but Mia didn't. She walked toward him.